Can you hear me okay there, Liz?
Yeah, how are you?
Great. Are you great?
I'm doing great.
Glad to hear that. Well, leading into it, a pleasure to connect. Your team sent out that press release, and it said the Brokerage Comedy Club in Belmore 3 nights. And wow, the brokerage. Is that your first time playing there?
No, I've worked there for, God, 15 years.
Wow. Okay, 15 years. Now, you started when you were 16. So early into that was the brokerage.
Yeah, I have a plethora of memories of Long Island.
Well, Jersey and Long Island people have that adverse chemical reaction going on. But what was your home club where you got started in Jersey?
I actually never really started in Jersey. I grew up there, but I always came into the city.
Oh,
I was just told when I was really young that that's where I should go. So I would take, it was about an hour and 15-minute train ride. So my first show was in the city. I would come into the city every weekend until I went to college. And then I got into college in the city. So then I moved there. So I think I didn't even do my first Jersey gig until I was like 18. Like it took a couple of years. But so my home club in New York was at first, because I would hand out flyers to get stage time. It was this really awful club called Ha. Um,
yes. The Times Square flyer barkers. You were one of
yeah,
them.
yes, I was. So from 16 to 19, I would flyer every single night and I would do anywhere from 2 to 5 shows a night. Like was it a great club? Absolutely not. I worked there. But I was able to get a plethora of stage time and it was such an important part of me getting better in the sense that
Yeah.
I got really comfortable on stage and I was able to really hone jokes and really know how things worked. And then the owner was a lot of words, but we'll just use the word chaotic.
Yes.
And he didn't like I wrote an article. He had like another club in Yonkers, I think. And I wrote an article for this little comedy magazine and I referenced it as a dingy comedy club. And he didn't like that. And he kicked me out, which he was doing all the time to everybody.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, I got to find a new place. And it was the best thing to happen to me because I just started working all these other clubs. So I became a regular at the Laugh Lounge, no longer exists, but I still am friends with the owners or previous owners. And then Gotham passed me and I worked at Gotham a lot. Comic Strip Live passed me. I worked at Comic Strip a lot. Caroline's passed me. I worked at Caroline's a lot. So it's like, it was kind of funny. I was working this crappy club and at first I was devastated that he banned me. And then all the best things that could have happened to me, to the point where I think like 3 months later, he was like, if you apologize, you can come back. And I was like, why would I come back? Like, why would I do that?
Yeah. Venues that don't make you flyer to get stage time as part of that exchange.
Yeah. And that was the least problematic part of that club. It was a cesspool of awful. So it was one of those perfect lessons that something that you think seems bad actually turns out to be one of the best things to ever happen to you.
I can relate to your story in a little way. Obviously, not on the success level, not on the charisma level, but I started writing for local newspapers when I was 16. And it wasn't that I was a good writer or a good interviewer or anything like that, but it was kind of the novelty of like, hey, let's let that kid in here. Uh, was it kind of like that for you? It was almost famous come to real life?
So I think a couple of things. It's very rare to have people start young, and then it's even rarer to have women start young.
Mm-hmm.
So I look young now. 16-year-old Liz looked like a lost elementary school kid. Like I really did look
Yes.
so out of place. And when I started doing it, when I moved to the city and I was in college, I would bring my school books. I would pack a lunch. I would pack peanut butter and jelly. I would pack a lunch because I was flyering. So I would be there all night. So I would bring all my books and I would pack a lunch and I would flyer. And then while I was waiting to go on stage, I would study and write and eat my dinner or whatever. And I did that for years everywhere I went because I had to do well in school. And I took this very seriously. So I was an anomaly for a really long time in the sense that nobody really knows what that is. Like they're just like, okay, but is it going to last? And I worked really hard. So I was everywhere. So there are people in this city that have known me since I was a teenager. And I think early on, some of it was absolutely, let's see what happens here, and this is interesting. But I would like to think I leaned into it and I started to build a name for myself past just the anomaly of it all.
A lot of people are just a stand-up comic. In your case, you found success doing other things. You were very early with adopting to social media and web-based content as well. Was the goal from the beginning to be a stand-up comic, or is that something that you were doing on the way to maybe acting or hosting stuff?
I just always wanted to be a comic. I still want to be a comic. Like, I love it with my whole heart. Everything I've done outside of it has been to survive as a comic. It's just not a lucrative career, and it's a hard career. And I'm grateful that it has forced me to be creative in different avenues. And I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot about the other aspects of creativity and the different voices I have that I want to nourish and continue to push out. But
Yeah,
I, if I had started stand up, it was an easy way to make money and I was just accepted, I don't think I would have done any of this. I don't think I'd be on social media. I don't think I would have done web series. I don't know if I would have written a book. I wouldn't be writing half the scripts I'm writing. Everything I've done outside of just traditional stand up has been because I need to make money and I need to continue to build a fan base so I can make money so I can do stand up. So it
right.
feels like an addiction that it's like, do I want to be selling my clothes on the street? No, I don't. But if it helps me feed my addiction, here I am selling, a VHS player I haven't used since the 80s.
I get it. And this is a curiosity of mine. I find that comics go two ways with their friends and their life off stage. And the one way is all of my friends are comics and writers and creative people. And the other way is I want nothing to do with these crazy people. I want to be free of them and I want to have structured people in my life and I'll be the weird one. Which one are you?
I'm actually down the middle.
Oh,
I genuinely have a really good crux of comedian friends that I've probably known anywhere from 10 to 15 years and are a huge part of my support group. And I see them all the time, both because we perform together and we live in the same city. And then I just spent a week and a half in Florida. I was doing gigs out there, but I extended my trip to hang out with my best friend from elementary school. I'm still really close with a couple of girlfriends from high school. I'm still really close with a bunch of people from college. I think I would say, I have the people I've met along the way that are outside of comedy and I've kept those. And then I have my comedy friends, but then I have like exterior, creative friends. So people that don't do comedy, but they're writers or they're actors or they're cartoonists or they make pottery or I like crafty people. So yeah. I think, I would say 70% of my friend base is creative, but I also I like nice people. And if you're nice, you stay in the crew.
and then another thing I like to find out is I consider you a true headlining, working, successful comic. I'm giving you the compliments and the titles right there. You didn't say that about yourself. How many nights a week do you still like work out material in clubs and do like underplays and like hidden shows?
Most nights.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've relaxed a little bit in hunting for them. So it used to be that I was constantly, any show, paid or not, small or big, I was constantly, and I don't do that anymore. A lot more comes to me. So sure. I will have nights off because somebody didn't ask me, but I don't actively take a lot of nights off unless what I'll more likely do is I won't book late night shows. So my last spot might be at 9:30 because I know I have to fly at 6 a.m. and I'm going to be headlining all weekend and I don't want to be exhausted. But because I'm constantly writing, I love doing news shows. I love doing bar shows. I love doing shows. There's a ton of new material shows in the city now. And then even more so now that I'm headlining, what I have started doing about 3 years ago since I built my own fan base, I'll do like 45 minutes to an hour. And then I'll ask them, can I try some really new stuff? Like they might not have punchlines. I'm still working out the kinks. And then I'll do another 10, 15 minute stuff that's just kind of okay, but weird. And I'm all over the place. And that's my favorite part. So I'm probably working on new material at least 3 to 5 days a week.
You take an old school approach to comedy from the sounds of it. Like that is not a negative thing. That's actually workshopping the material. We hear it, for example, Kevin Hart, one thing I've heard that he does is he tries out the material in the club. Then once it passes muster, he moves it up to the theater level. Then he moves it up to the arena. It sounds like you have a similar approach in that you're always workshopping and you're not getting too comfortable. And in other words, you can't just go on stage after not being on stage for like 3 weeks and feel comfortable.
Oh, not at all. I honestly, anything more than a week, I start to get nervous. And I think a lot of it is I don't like that feeling. It doesn't feel good to me. It's my favorite feeling is feeling comfortable and confident and in the zone on stage. And if I'm going, when's that joke? Or I forgot how that goes. Like and I hate studying. So to be comfortable on stage, I would have to study, and I don't want to study. And that starts to feel like work. So it's just easier to always be working. So I'm always comfortable and I never have to study.
So it sounds like you're comfortable from the career level, though, that it's not so much what's going to happen next? I got to create stuff. It sounds like you're at a point where a lot of the stuff comes to you and you're able to look ahead comfortably and take vacations if you really want to.
Yeah, I would say, there's aspirations. I always say, like, if this is the peak, if I've peaked today, I feel pretty proud of myself. Like, I'm comfortable. I like what I'm doing. I'm constantly challenging myself in different areas, and people are still discovering my stuff, and I'm able to work. Clearly, aspirationally, there's so much more I want to do, and there's so many things that I'm still trying to figure out. But I am craftiness wise and career wise in a place that I'm proud of.
Before I go into the hey, and let's plug everything that you're working on portion of this conversation, I'm curious, the brokerage, I grew up in Belmore where that club is, and they may or may not have let me as a pre-21-year-old hang out at that club. So I used to go to the brokerage all the time, but I'd see that the comics would do different material at the brokerage because they treat it like it was middle America as opposed to New York City. Now, at this point, do you have it where you're like, okay, this is a college, this is my college set, this is a hip New York City club, this is my New York City set? Do you have it broken down like that material-wise?
No, I never want to do that. And that's what it kind of pisses me off about Long Island is like, come on, guys, you're next to the city, grow up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? And I would get so mad. So like sometimes I would do well in Long Island, and I've always been hit or miss on Long Island. Sometimes I would murder because I'm Jersey trash, you're Long Island trash, we're all the same. But sometimes it's this kind of Republican, we have a little bit of money, we think you're better. And I was like, you're not better. Listen to your voice. You're not better. Like, and I would just that's where I don't like, I like the kind of Long Island aspect of like, we know what we are. Yeah. And when I ever get those kind of hoity toity, we think we're better because we own a house. And I'm just like, no. So what I'm fortunate about is now in my career, I have a fan base. So it's Long Island people that know what I do and know who I am. And I don't have to change myself. And I really don't do colleges anymore. I'm not against being clean, but it's just not fun for me to have to be in my head and to be self-editing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have to study. Yeah. I'm not somebody that hurts anybody's feelings. So woke isn't the problem. I am a pretty open, like honest, thoughtful person. It's the language. I curse a lot and I don't want to have to edit myself. So if I'm going to study, if I'm going to have to work harder, I want money for it. So that's my thing, is whether I do a corporate gig or a club gig or a college gig, if I have to be outside of what I like doing and normally doing, I want to be compensated for it. So that's why I don't really change that much. This is what you get. This is what you paid for. And if you want a better version of this or a different version of this, it's going to cost you. So what I'm fortunate about is that, like I said, I have a fan base and I can really just be myself.
What you were saying before about the Long Island differences and all that, we have in this town called Long Beach kind of a workout room that it's this terrible bar that puts up like a makeshift stage, and like there's headliners here. So you'll see like Jim Norton or Sarah Silverman or Dice Clay playing in a bar here in Long Beach, which is fantastic for the fans. It must be not the greatest for some of the comics, but watching a Dice Clay set on Long Island, where he's clearly playing a character that's like a grumpy version of himself, but it's totally going over everyone's head. You always have that Long Island thing where you go like, how smart are they? Do they get it or not get it?
Yeah.
Thankfully, they're coming for you. But as you said, working on scripts, anything you're allowed to say, or is it all under embargo until Variety or the Hollywood Reporter says it's okay to say it?
Yeah, right now it's just like I have a script that was picked up by a production company, and we'll see. Because sometimes this stuff never sees the light of day. So
Right.
sometimes you don't even want to talk about it because it's like, it's almost how women treat being pregnant. You're like, bodies are weird and I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't.
Fair.
So I'm very much in the early pregnancy stage of the script.
Gestational period of that all. But
I mean, Texas sees it as a full blown script, and that's great. But I, on the other hand, don't know if it's going to come to fruition.
But the bottom line is stand up most weekends in like true headlining slots, workout sets a lot if you're in the New York area. Another book, is that in the cards?
I don't know. I mean, I love my book. I'm proud of my book. The book kind of came to me, so it's pretty hard to get a book published. And I was fortunate that this editor saw a bit of mine, already had an idea about this book, approached me, and I didn't have to get a literary agent. I really didn't have to write, like you would have to usually do like a 3-chapter sample to get it, and I didn't have to do that. Like they already liked me. I wrote I wrote a pitch and I wrote an outline, and then I had a book deal. So I think there's a little laziness on my side where I'm just like, it was so easy for me, and all my other friends that have books, it was like not that easy. So
no.
I would like to think it'll be easier because I now am a published author, but I put all my knowledge, because I'm an idiot, into this one book that it's going to take a little bit of time before I write another one.
I don't think you do, because if you take cats out of that title and it's why blank, or that could work.
I mean, anything could fit in. Everybody's an asshole.
Well, that's fantastic that, how many people actually finish the book that they say they're going to write. So you did. I know. So brighter and brighter stuff is ahead for you. That's the vibe I'm getting. And the last question I have for you is, what should I be watching on television? And I say that because every time I start a new show with the wife, we finish in 4 days and we go, what's next? Why not ask a professional what's good?
Have you started or watched, it has a couple of seasons, What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
So good.
But I haven't seen the new season. New season is still great.
Yeah, I really like it. I think I have 2 more episodes to catch up on, but I was actually rewatching the last season with my friend in Florida, because it's so good and it's so weird and I love it. I'm actually kind of the worst for shows because I'm always like not watching I like cartoons, and I don't do well with like scary or like really gory drama. So like everything that everybody's watching, I'm not watching. But like if you like cartoons and you're okay with like kids stuff, there's this show on Netflix called Kippo. And I think it's 2 or 3 seasons, and it's a kid's show, but it's actually genuinely really good, really great animation, really funny, really good script. And like my whole thing is, maybe you might not watch it with your full heart, but if you have it on the background, it's just like a good feel good show.
Hippo, I've learned new things. Well, Liz, thank you for your time. Hope to see you at the brokerage, and just keep up all the greatness that you got going on.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Paltrocast.